you struggle with filling in your brows, keep on watching.
I find using a pencil to be the easiest way to fill in the brows. Today I'm using the Benefit Cosmetics Precisely My Brow Pencil. The shade Warm Deep Brown. Everyone has a stronger side and a weaker side. Now in makeup artistry, we always say start on your weaker side or your worst side, however you want to refer to it as. So in my case, because I am right-handed, that would be my left side. Starting on your weaker side helps you to get it out to your best ability, and then you can more easily match your stronger side to the weaker side. Now the front of the brow always starts next to the middle of the nose. Line it up with the middle of the nose and leaving a stroke. Arch of your brow, you always go from the tip, center of the nose, diagonally across the pupil of the eye, leaving a mark. There's where the arch needs to line. Now the very outer side of your nose is where you'd measure, going diagonally up towards the tail end of the brow, and that's where you have your tail. Starting at the front base of the brow, giving light fine strokes. And going along to the tail end of the brow, and at the end you give a slight flick. And from there you go up to the arch where the arch needs to be. Following there. From here you fill in from the arch, going backwards towards the tail. Once the arch and the tail are filled in, taking the very tip of the pencil, just giving fine hair-like strokes to the front of the brow. Now, vary a bit for everyone depending on the shape of the brow, how far back the natural front is from their nose. But let's just say as a rule of thumb, you start with 4 strokes and then begin to fill. In my case, because it's further back, I need to have more than 4. Gentle strokes. And from here, filling in. Now grabbing a spoolie. This is my Madame Mirage angled brow brush, and brushing the product through the brow. Or if you have a pencil that has a spoolie on the other end, you can also flip. Now as you brush the brows up, the hairs, you can look for any area that looks a little sparse, and you can add a little more product there. Going in with light but firm pressure. Remember, you're not marking with a Sharpie. Now brushing the brows down. Any space that you see that can use a little more filling, and going in light but firm pressure. As you can see right here, I have a little bit of hair missing, filling it in with that light and firm pressure. Going back in with the spoolie and brushing it at an angular direction. First brow is done. Now to get the second brow to line up with the first brow, it's important to do it from the arch, as that is the highest point of the brow. Taking my spoolie brush, or any brush you have that's long enough, lining up, going from the highest point of the first brow, going across to the second brow, leaving a little mark to ensure that they both come out at the same level. Everyone's face is slightly asymmetrical. This is totally natural, but why not treat it with makeup, right? Now going back in, marking the front of the brow, from the tip here to the arch, tip of the nose at the center, and from the very side edge of the nose, marking off the tail. And repeating this process on this side. Now after the first hair-like strokes are made, going straight up vertically, we're going in at a slight angle to fill in the brows. Now to clean up the base of the brows, going in with your eyeshadow primer of choice, I'm using the P. Louise eyeshadow base in the shade Rumor 04. Taking just a pea-size amount onto the back of the hand, and taking your brush, your concealer brush, I'm using my P. Louise eyeshadow base brush and dipping it, fully coating the tip of the brush into the product. Now it's really important that you pick up enough of the product, so much so that the bristles of the brush are blended together, almost blade-like. I'm taking the very tip of the brush. You can either use the tip or the side. I like using the top of my brush. I feel like I have more control like that. And bringing it gently, very much at the edge, just at the base of the brow. Going slowly, using tiny strokes. Remember, you don't want to ruin that clean line that you have created with your pencil. And at this point, any errors you have made, you can clean it up. It's also very important that when you get to the tail end of the brow, right here, always lift up and out, as opposed to dragging the face down. Now to get the front of the brows even, you're going to start at the front of the first brow, in this case for me the left brow, and you're drawing a straight horizontal line, taking you across to the front of the brow. This way you make sure they're evenly matched. You can see it here. Tips of the brow at the front are matched, and continuing along in the same way. Now taking what's left on the brush and bringing it down onto the eyelid, from the brow bone, from the eyebrows, to prep the lid for eyeshadow. From here, taking a tiny brush, this is the Madame Mirage small powder brush, and starting at the middle of the brow, blending out the eyeshadow base to the edges. Now going on to the eyes with patting motions, smoothing out and setting the brow base in shape. And as you come to the edges, brushing it out. Now if you notice, I'm not going anywhere near the actual brows with the brush. You don't want to ruin that perfectly clean line. So you're going to take your ring finger and just press, and any excess comes off on the finger instead, and the line is still intact. Brows are now in place, in shape, and ready to get the rest of the base on. Now to get around the brows, I'm sure as you can see I have no foundation directly onto the brows. Going in with the concealer brush and gently going in right above the brows, in between the brows, and continuing above. And to fully blend out, going back in with my F4 brush, Makeup by Mario F4, and just patting it in with what foundation is already left on the brush. Now I'm sure you can see right in the corner there, there's still one of my starter markers. Going back in with the concealer brush and just blending it in. And the brows are perfect, symmetrical as much as they can be with the face, and ready to get the rest of the makeup done.